What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, guys. In today's video, I want to talk about deadly copes. Now, this video is going to be very deep, so make sure you watch this entire video. Listen closely, rewatch it if you have to. Share it on forums, share it in Discord servers. This is the shit that I wish someone had told me years ago. It's that important. In fact, this video might be some of my best work. It might be one of my most important videos. I wish someone had told me this when I was 25, 24, 23, 22, even in my late 20s. Some of these truths, it took me a while to learn, But, the other day I was watching a movie with Bruce Willis. And the movie with Bruce Willis is a pretty good movie. It's called The Sixth Sense. And in this movie, Bruce Willis' character had his fate had been sealed at the beginning of the movie. And Bruce Willis, even though he was dead, he came back as a ghost. And I know it sounds kind of corny, but it's actually a really good movie. He came back and he kept walking around the world like he could control his destiny, even though he was a dead man walking. But his destiny was already sealed. He was destined to die in that very moment where he did. So even though throughout the movie, Bruce Willis, he did all that striving, he tried to make up for lost time, and trying to control his destiny, it was all in vain. It was all in vain. It was all in his imagination. So even though he did, try to control his destiny, he wasn't in control. And this just got me thinking about life and how we are much less in control than we think. In life, we're way less in control of our destinies. There is no grand destiny. But anyway, that just got me kind of thinking about today's video. But first, I want to define in this video what I mean by cope. And in the context of this video, so, humans, we cope in general, right? That's what we do. There are copes like, for example, let's say if you have a headache, right? You have a headache, maybe you cope by taking a ibuprofen, instead of just embracing the pain of the headache and riding it out, you may go pop two ibuprofens, right? So that is what's considered a cope because you're coping with the pain. Another example of a cope and a really bad cope, for example, is drugs. Drugs is a cope, but it's a really bad cope. In life, there are copes, and each cope has a different cost and potential cost associated with it. For example, drugs, right? Drugs, yeah, in the short term, drugs may alleviate some of your pain, but in the long term, this cope has a extreme high cost and a extremely low return on investment for the cope. So we see in life there are some copes that we suffer, we pay for later on. But in this video, I'm referring to copes as in the lies we tell ourselves to delude ourselves into avoiding the truth, the harsh and sometimes bitter truth about ourselves and the world. It's about avoiding uncomfortable truths by telling ourselves pretty comfortable lies. And the funny thing is that these lies often end up being okay in the moment, right? It kind of alleviates us from having to face the harsh truth. But the downside is in the long run, it costs you dearly. But, in life, there are some truths in life that you must embrace and not try to cope your way out of. Life is much better to know the bitter truth than to pay the price of sweet, pretty, comforting lies. And like I said in the beginning, certain copes and lies we tell ourselves in life accrue at a annual interest rate of 35%. Year by year, the longer you live in denial and your cope, the higher the cost rises. You accrue some serious debt the longer you hold on and live your life by certain copes. And this is the same with deadly copes. Costly copes or deadly copes are the lies that cause many people, and men especially, to spend years of their lives, chasing their tails, running in circles, chasing a false illusion of something they were never going to be able to attain, And I know, some people will say, shoot for the stars, maybe you'll land on the moon, and all that bull crap. But see, life is a game of missing out and opportunity cost. The time you spent chasing false gods and false illusions could have been time spent on living your truth rather than living a lie and chasing false hope. You're better off embracing the reality and living the way you truly should be living instead of living in the clouds. They tell you to, keep trying, bro, more and more and more, improve, just keeps improving, keep self-improving, bro. And, most of your life has already been determined at birth. You didn't get to pick your face, your brain chemistry, your height, your temperament that largely shapes your personality. You didn't get to pick the womb you were hanging out in for 9 months that largely impacted your brain neurotransmitter. You didn't get to pick your environment that largely shaped your brain, your gene expressions early on in life. You didn't get to pick your temperament that largely determines your personality, your likes, dislikes, your behaviors, tendencies, your natural interest. Everything about you was already scripted in your genetics and shaped it and molded. All the choices you make in life are based on an array of inputs that are largely outside your conscious control, and this has been coded into your genetics and shaped by your early environment. Nothing in life happens by chance. Who you are is all cause and effects. The human, you still make choices, but they're not free in the sense that you can be anything you want to be in life. Oftentimes, even though you can choose, your choices are predetermined and limited. Willpower and just working harder is not enough in life. In order to get certain outcomes in life, you must be born into certain situations, born with certain genetics, born with certain brain chemistry, born into a certain environment that shaped you, certain genetics, certain early experiences that create the type of person who gets a specific outcome. These things just don't happen by random chance, as most self-improvement gurus will lead you to believe. Most decisions, choices, and even a lot of our behaviors come from a combination of our brain and neurons firing, which is often influenced by hormones, chemicals, as well as our previous experiences. Even when you're in your mother's womb, the maternal circulation, being born, depending on your mom, the environment you were born in before you were born, the womb you were conceived in, has a big influence on you as well. Levels of huge array of different hormones, immune factors, inflammatory molecules, pathogens, nutrients, environmental toxins, illicit substances, all which help regulate the brain function in adulthood, even before you were born. It's not surprising, right? And you might say, well, Jack, what does all this mean? Where are you going with this? The womb you were born into is another determinant toward how lucky or unlucky you're likely to be in the world that awaits you. You didn't get to choose your womb, Things like your neurotransmitters, things like this was already determined at birth. Things like dopamine signaling. Dopamine signaling was already determined while you were in the womb. And dopamine signaling is the relevant to rewards, anticipation, motivation, addiction, gratification, postponement, long-term planning, risk-taking, novelty seeking, ability to focus, the things pertinent to whether someone could have, quote unquote, transcended their hard life circumstances if only they had shown more self-discipline and hard work. Perhaps this person was, simply incapable of working harder. Perhaps this person, there's vast dopaminergic activity amongst people, which largely has already been chosen for you. And these things impact the outcome of your life. We are not in control as we are led to believe. We can't control our destiny. Most people are not able to admit how lucky they've gotten in life. They believe it's mostly come down to their hard work, persistence, focus, willpower. Most people are incredibly delusional about why they're in the position they're in life. If you were to change the history, experiences, genetics, and brain chemistry of a person, you would change their entire fate of their lives. But, if you were to put this same person into a course on how to make better decisions, bro, this wouldn't really alter or change the fate of this person's life at all. It may help a person feel they're more in control, but really they're not. You might say, Jack, why is all this important? Where are you going with this, man? And don't worry, I'll bring it all home. Basically what I'm saying is this is all important to understand because this keeps you from making poor choices, from living a life, from years of years of chasing false illusions based off of what some dating coach or self-improvement guru told you, a lie to sell products. When you understand the implications of genetic determinism and biological determinism, you can be aware of your own cognitive biases and, most importantly, the manipulation of others. From years, this could potentially save you from years of continuously beating yourself up and blaming yourself. Some issues in life have no solution, and sometimes it's not all your fault. You got to stop blaming yourself. Knowing all these truths, it allows you to take an accurate assessment of your life. Knowing the truth allows you to make decisions based off the raw reality, not some whimsical, magical thinking, you know. And most people never think this way. Most people never use this type of logic, because it's not taught to us. People teach us, oh, you can be whatever you want to be. The Disney movies, this could save somebody years of fighting an uphill battle that they never had a chance of winning. They never had a chance. If only they had embraced the truth sooner. Embracing the raw truth requires a total reevaluation of your life. At this point, some truths in your life are better to be embraced and accepted rather than buffered against through pretty lies used to shield you from the harsh reality. Not accepting the reality about your life, yourself, your situation is the most deadly cope with a high price to pay. A lot of guys will often say, oh, I want to be able to slay Stacy's, bruh. But they're ethnic, 5'7" with an average face and a more introverted personality with more niche interest. But they want to slay Stacy's, and you think there's some magic trick or some dating coach that you can learn, and to cause Stacy to stumble over you on the daily, And this is the type of magical thinking that gets many guys into trouble and waste years of their lives. It keeps them prisoners of deep cycles of self-hatred, overly self-critical, low self-esteem, and locked into a cycle of hustle and grind, which all seriously diminishes your enjoyment of life through inner peace and inner bliss. By acknowledging and making peace with certain uncomfortable truths, you attain peace, you attain internal peace. And this is freeing. This is why I truly believe, in some regards, the old saying, the truth shall set you free, is true. In some regards, it rings truer than ever. Instead of coping, just be realistic about and honest about your situation, where you stand. The world will let you know where you stand. Women will let you know where you stand in terms of dating. The results you get, or lack thereof, will tell you something about your situation. Plus all the craziness going on with the dating market, it's no surprise the average guy's struggling. The average guy's stressed, confused, But by accepting the reality, embracing the raw truth about you, your genetics, your situation, gives you more leverage to make good decisions for yourself, not based off false hopes sold to you in the form of a red pill or by a self-improvement coach. For example, Dead Bedrooms on Reddit is a great example of just how far the average person is willing to go and lie to themselves. Some of these guys think that, there's something they can do, some hack or something they can try that will get their wives back or girlfriends back attracted to them. But the reality is that, she was probably never truly attracted to you in the first place. And I'm sure the warning signs were probably there, but see, most guys will choose to ignore it. They, just in the name of securing a female in a relationship, a lot of guys will put up with anything. They'll ignore red flags, they'll ignore all the signs that were there. And this cope accrues a serious, brutal debt that will cost you heavily in the future, the dead bedrooms. Many guys will blatantly cope and then turn a blind eye to the truth just to avoid the harsh realities instead of taking an accurate assessment of the situation and the brutal truth. They choose to cope. Your days are numbered if you choose to cope this way. These dead bedroom guys in these relationships where the woman is not truly attracted, your days are numbered. But you just don't know it yet. Your fate is already sealed. Next thing you know, you have a kid and you end up in a dead bedroom. And this is something else. A lot of women also cope as well by marrying and getting with men they aren't truly attracted to out of desperation or a need to just have someone and start a family or relationship. But real, true, deep attraction was never there. So many women will cope and lie to themselves and delude themselves into being with the guy they truly never were really attracted to. A woman must be really giga attracted to her man, and everything else comes next after that fact. But many women cope as well and think they can trick themselves out of the physical part, but it never works. It always ends badly. This cope ends up costing both people in the end, and it also ends badly for the children as well. Everyone suffers, but usually it is the man who get the worst end of the stick and suffers the most. Why? All by a cope. A cope that could have been avoided if people were simply more brutally honest about themselves and the truth. With many copes in life, guys, there's a very, very, very high cost to pay with copes that come with a deadly cost. When you blatantly lie to yourself in order to avoid the truth always, 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 always will come back to collect. In men age like fine wine, bruh. It doesn't get good until 36, bruh. Women love older men, bro. Just improve, bruh. Your social skills, bruh. The wall defeats them all, bro. College is for losers and wage slaves. Start your own business, bro. Free yourself from the matrix. just be more social, bruh. Put yourself out there. Telling somebody to just self-improve, just grow your hair out, bro, is doing them a disservice and is very dangerous. You keep these men locked into a vicious cycle of never feeling good about themselves, never feeling good enough, constantly thinking it's something within their power they can do to change that fact. But the truth is, you are not good enough for many things in life, and there's no way around it. You must stop blaming and beating yourself up, thinking you can overcome by just working harder and improving more. Coping and telling yourself you can overcome is mostly a lie. And again, as I always say, I'm not suggesting you not try to build a good life for yourself. I do believe that you should work hard at a skill, a career, or some way of making money to live a decent life. And I'm not suggesting not to do any type of self improvement or looks maxing. But I'm an advocate for these things. But I also do not promote the delusional thinking. It's important that guys go into these things with the fundamental understanding that majority of it was determined at birth and your early environment experiences, of course. And there's nothing you can do about it. Most of male attractiveness, especially for males, comes down to one word: bones. It's mostly unchangeable characteristics, no matter how much you self-improve. Majority of your attractiveness as a male was already determined at birth. Majority of male attractiveness is based on what I like to call your base attractiveness, which is largely based on bones, things you cannot change. See, the things that actually matter and would change and alter your life are unchangeable and already determined, especially as a male. I'm going to say that again. Especially as a male, the things that actually matter and would change and alter the course of your life are unchangeable and already determined. No matter how much you self-improve, self-improvement is only marginal gains. The biggest determinants of life have already been decided for you. Sure, like I always say, most people can attain some level of success, a decent level of success, but Your genetics and everything about you will be the main determining factor of how far one goes in life. And the family you were born into, the early environment you were born to, your early experiences, and just how lucky or unlucky you've gotten in life, guys. I'm the first to admit that I've gotten kind of lucky in life. I'll make a video about this soon, but I've gotten kind of lucky in life. I'm not even going to cope and say, oh, it's all hard work. Yeah, work hard, but a lot of it is luck. There are genes for motivation. Some people are just simply less motivated. No matter what you do, you're less motivated than somebody else. There are genes and neurotransmitters and neurochemistry that determines this, that you didn't get to pick. Just looks max, bruh. You can look smacks, but you can groom yourself and make yourself look good and presentable and groom, but most of it was determined at birth and through bones. Many of these self-improvement coaches preach high value men to these young men, but many of these guys will be 100% better off actually coming over to my channel. I'm sure, and actually, I'm sure many of them will end up here sooner or later. They will. You can live in denial of certain uncomfortable truths about yourself in life and where you stand, but you must be fully aware of the consequences of that lie. See, I believe, once you've accepted the full truth about the uncomfortable truth about yourself, life, not based on some self-improvement plan, but an accurate raw assessment of yourself, your core personalities, your talents, your physical appearance, genetics, the reality of, the situation you were born into, your past, not based on trying to change yourself. You must take a raw assessment of your fundamental abilities and where you stand in life. And then this puts you in a good position to now come up with how to cope with the rest of life. And this gives you more clarity to make good choices for yourself, not based on denial, delusional thinking that will waste a ton of your time and put you in a bad spot later on in life. You could have saved yourself a lot of pain and misery if you just radically and ruthlessly had been honest with yourself from the very beginning. But, from childhood, many of us were not trained to do this. The movies, the subliminal messages in media, movies and marketing, especially to kids. The hero always comes out on top no matter how far behind he is. If you just persist enough, like in the movies, all things will just come together. And these subliminal messages and subconsciously, they have a big impact on reinforcing these ideas through repetition. Disney movies, most of this stuff is unconscious, but this stuff is not true. In life, you are limited. In life, you will miss out on many things in life. In life, you are not good enough for many things. Not everybody will be a winner in life. In fact, most people lives will end in tragedy. Many people will never be able to live the lives they thought they would be able to live as kids. And if only someone had been more honest with these people, if only someone would have told them the truth, many people will have been saved from years and years of wasted time and reaching a midlife crisis. Most men reach a midlife crisis only because they've realized they've been living a lie full of copes. And this is the most brutal truth to wake up from. Don't let this be you. I'll see you in the next one.